Good evening. My name's Dave Farnsworth. I've been asked to, the family's been planning this for a very long time. In fact, Corey called me about 6 months ago. Dave, would you MC for my dad's birthday party? It's going to be a roast. Well, I don't know, Corey. You know, my style of speaking is kind of washed up these days. Everybody being so fucking politically correct. Yeah, Dave. But we'll let you we'll let you insult everybody in the room. It's like, okay, perfect. I'll do it. You know, over the years, I've done business with 3 generations of Blisses. Is the plural of Bliss, Blisses, or Bliss-I? Anyone know? Al, Jeff, Travis. Maybe 4 someday.
You never know. Maybe.
I was also in a generational business, 4th generation myself. Till I put a stop to that. Isn't it interesting? In our society, they have little need for printed words, but we still have a lot of trash to throw out. Speaking of trash, let me introduce the Bliss family. Oh, I didn't mean anything mean by that. Jeff's number 1 son, Travis, and his lovely wife, Brittany. Corey and Katie. Amber and Lee. Jonathan Clark, who I first met tonight. All right. His sister, Chasey, I won't say anything bad about her. She's a lady. She's the only Bliss with a college education. She's the only one that moved out of town. Mother Bliss, Barbara. And then I wasn't sure what to call her. She's kind of like the in-between mom or the mid-mom or darling. So I got an email from Travis the other day. I'm thinking that's got to be a group effort. You're telling me there's a Bliss that knows how to type and another one that knows how to use a computer? Did you have help with that?
A little bit.
Not.
My 9-year-old daughter helped.
Where is Brock?
4th generation, thank you. No.
She's my cousin.
Little lady, would you like to get in the garbage business?
They wouldn't have an animal rescue.
I'm glad she's getting us started because the speaking format tonight is like free-form insults. And it's bi-directional. You want to insult me or the speaker, any speaker, just shout it out. Whatever's on your mind, please just let her go. You know, and then she didn't read the script.
No.
It's really good to see a lot of my friends as well as Jeff's. Barkley and Linda Much, Camden's most intelligent guy.
What were you after another drinker?
You know, he was a young lad. He used to whine to Linda in the morning. I don't want to go to work. Linda said, no, why not? It's like, well, they're mean to me, and you know, they say I don't know nothing. Linda's like, nope. You go in, you listen, you pay attention, someday you can be the boss. Okay. So a few years later, Barkley's whining again. I don't want to go in. They're mean to me, they say I don't know nothing. Linda says, but honey, you gotta go in. You are the boss. Then a few years later, he loses his factory job. Honey, I'm not going in today. I don't have a job. Linda's response, yeah, you don't know nothing. And now I'm not going to treat you with respect. But it's good to see you, Barkley.
Nice.
Quinny Haig, I haven't seen in years, and then I ran into him the other day down on Fish Creek Landing. I hardly even recognize him because, you know, he looks so young. And then Joanne and you know, I haven't seen him since Smith's Diner. And Joanne and Andrea Smith are here tonight. Thank you for closing Smith's Diner so I don't have to look at Quinny every day. Sending old homeless men out in the street where they belong. Fred and June Burke. You know, I wasn't going to talk about presidential politics tonight.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, maybe I will. You ever know at the end of the election, the next day you get the Rome Sentinel, and you look down all the columns and you say, one person in Camden, town of Camden, voted for the Democrat. Are you still going to do that, June? Great. John Kennedy, are they done building your bridge? Who did you piss off at the stake? I mean, he's a half a mile from the construction and they closed off the front of his business. I just checking, because if I ever run into him, I'm going to say, no, I do not know John Kennedy. Okay, so the format is tonight, we're going to stand up and we're going to head over there. Now, we could do it in one big mob, or how would you like us to do it? I need instructions. Kim's going to call tables. So, enjoy your dinner. We're going to have a roast of, did I introduce you? I'll do it later. We're going to have a roast after dinner and wait for Kim. Okay, here's the deal. If we can sit through and make it through the roast, they'll let us have dessert. So, Corey, if you'd like to start us off, because you come between right now and dessert.
I'm the only thing hold this up from dessert.
I'd like to introduce Corey Bliss.
My dad calls me number 2.
It's because you look like shit.
Jeff Waterman, everybody. Yeah, the roasty is to say, I'm gonna wing this off the cuff. I know it's more of a roast, and unfortunately, my dad's not very good at taking a ball breaking. He'll dish it out all day long, but he gets a little emotional when you start picking on him. And I wanted to keep it PG for the kids, and I really didn't want my dad in a teary mess up here. that's about it. The old man is, I can vouch for my brother, and I'm sure my sister. He's taught us a lot, business-wise. Luckily, the trash one is the only one that really come out on the other end. But we've had a lot of adventures together.
Yes, we have.
The restaurant business is not a good one to try to dive into. If there's anyone out there thinking of starting up a restaurant, you might want to hold it back. Other than that, I love you, buddy, and we're going to send it back to the MC here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Corey. There's a gentleman named Big Jim Mason in the room. You're next up here at the podium.
There must be one in alphabetical order.
I'm not sure what Travis meant, because I've never met you, sir, but he says you're the only farmer he knows that could commit suicide by jumping off your wallet. Oh, you're going to eat like this.
Well, I'm glad to be invited this tonight. This should be an interesting evening. Not too many of you know that Jeff was a scholar in school. And they had a national poetry contest come up. And they had a real smart young lad there, headed to Harvard and from a well-bred family, upper crust, well-connected, and all that goes with it. The other finalist was not a redneck, but it was something like that. That's Jeff. The rules of the contest required each finalist to compose a 4-line poem in 1 minute or less, and the other poem had to contain the word Timbuktu. So the Harvard grad, as we call him, went first. About 30 seconds into the clock started, he jumped up and recited the poem. Far across the desert sand marched the endless caravan. Men on horses, 2 by 2, destination Timbuktu. The audience went wild. How they wondered, could the redneck Jeff top that? The clock started ticking again, and the redneck, all of a sudden, Jeff jumped up and finally, in the last few seconds, he recited this. Tim and me a hunting went, found 3 women in a tent. Horse was 3, we were 2, I bucked 1, and Tim bucked 2.
Thank you, Jim. We really needed that. All right, I have a letter from a gentleman. I'm not very good at reading. Someone who couldn't be here, a guy named George Seymour, somebody you worked with.
Yeah, he used to be my boss at Ryder.
Boss at where? Rite Aid?
Ryder.
Right. Hi, Mr. Bliss. This is your old buddy, Fritz, or George Seymour. Sorry I couldn't be there. I'd like to be there to harass you. Yeah. Wow, 60 years? Well, I'm 23 years older than you. Just think of all the years of fun I've had before your mother decided to have you. I'm so glad I was your boss at Ryder. That got you on the trail of success. It is an honor to be your friend. Happy birthday, Fritz. Now, I'd like to invite your sister, Chasey, to join us.
Holy mackerel, she's got a whole tablet there.
Remember, we're looking for dessert.
But remember, I've known him my entire life. You think you've got stories? But I have to say, before I start talking, you know, sometimes parents, as we get older, we get confused on names of our children. Well, if you hear me say the name Zach, my son Zach is here. Sometimes I'll interchange Zach for Jeff, or Jeff for Zach. Zach reminds me a lot of Jeff. It's not always good. It does explain a few things that I will not explain tonight. I'll move this down just a sec. So I have a few memories, believe it or not, of the softer side of Jeff. It really does exist. So I'm going to tell a couple about when we were growing up and then a more recent one. Because I remember the little boy who put up a fuss when his dad stopped the truck when he saw a butterfly that was clinging to for dear life, to the windshield wiper. He needed to stop and release it before they picked up speed and it got hurt. The stuff he remembers probably shouldn't be repeated. He also found a baby squirrel when he was out on the route with our dad that had fallen out of its nest and was near death. He brought it home in his pocket and he nursed it back to health.
Another lie.
Oh, that's a true story.
And then one summer when he was 11, and I was doing what most, I won't say my age other than I'm the younger sister. So he was 11, and while I'd be sleeping in and hanging around outside, as most of us did at that time because there weren't computers yet and our parents wanted to get us out of the house. But he was out on the trash route 6 days a week with our dad. And what I didn't realize is that for a while we didn't have returnable bottles, and now they're back, but years ago they also had returnable bottles. And when he was out on the route with our dad, he would collect the returnable bottles because he was saving money to buy himself a bike, which sounds like a wonderful, thing for someone to do for, a very entrepreneurial young man. You could see it starting already. What I didn't realize is that while I was sleeping in and lounging around, is this sweet young man was also saving money to buy us both bicycles. And the only reason I even knew that he had bought my bicycle when we both got them for Christmas was when our mom said, your brother actually bought you that bike with the money that he saved from returnable bottles. So he actually can be very sweet.
Excuse me, Tracy, we're supposed to be talking about Jeff.
And he does like to show his gruff side, but there is a softer side to him.
He didn't wreck those bikes, did he?
Well, only when he tried to take them apart. He liked to take things apart and put them back together, and he got much better at putting things back together when he got older than when he was younger. But I ride horses, and 3 years ago, I was in Aiken, and I took a tumble off my horse. And I ended up with 5 broken ribs, a punctured lung, and 2 bulging discs in my neck. I was also in Aiken, it was the end of the season, and I needed to bring my horses back to New York State, which is a grueling 17-hour drive in one day. So I thought after I was there for 7, 8, 9 days, I would be fine and I'd be able to drive the horses back. And I realized after like 8 days, this is just not going to happen. I mean, I could turn like this, and I couldn't even carry my pocketbook, pick up something as heavy as the purse. And I had to pack up all this stuff and do that long drive. And I thought, who am I going to get? Who would be willing to do this drive with me? And I thought, well, there is that fellow who bought me that bike years ago. So I called Jeff up on like a Thursday night and said, what are you doing this weekend? He said, well, what do you need, hon? And I said, well, I have to drive 2 horses back to New York State. It's a grueling 17-hour drive. Are you up for it? He said, absolutely. So I flew him down on Saturday morning. We got the horses all, everything all set, and the trailer set, and packing stuff, and you know how women are. Everything's got to go just right. I can't lift anything, but I'll say, that goes right here, this goes right there, and that goes there. No, you can't stack that way. He was wonderful. He was just great about it. And then that night at dinner, of course, we all know how he never likes to show his, that he can get in touch with his feminine side. So he always likes to kind of be like, man up, not particularly emotional, whatever. So at dinner, though, I said, I really appreciate your coming out and spending your whole weekend, and we both know it's going to be a grueling, 17-hour drive tomorrow, and I just want you to know that it really means a lot to me that you would do this. He laughs and he says, well, it means a lot to me that you'd fly me all the way down here to have dinner with me. So that's my brother in a nutshell. Very gruff sometimes on the exterior, and very sweet actually on the inside. You're a wonderful brother, and I love you.
Your feminine side. Never showed me that. Sweetie. Talking about bicycles reminds me of my first car. I got my first car. Jeff Bliss lives across the street, down the street a little bit. I'll service it for you, Dave. He did. My first car was hot. It was a Plymouth wagon. So you're not still mad at me that I never paid you? Next, I'd like Jackie to join us. And please don't say anything sweet.
About that feminine side? I won't go there. Look at that. Where do I start? It was about 3 years ago today, actually in 7 days, that he started sending me notes. Not that I keep track of anything. And it's been quite an educational experience, let me tell you. Now, understand, we have extremely different backgrounds. And he's taught me a ton of things. For example, as a Kodak employee, when I used to say, quote, the F word, I meant Fuji, because you couldn't say that working at Kodak. Well, Jeff quickly took on the job of teaching me the real F word. It started out with him, I'd be talking about something, he says, wait, just say, kids here?
Yes.
F that. And it took a while. Now it's amazing. It just rolls right off my tongue. I've got to be careful where I say it. And I quickly learned that it's a great way to get his attention. So, then there's the legendary motorcycle accident. And his recovery. And let me tell you, you learn a lot about people when they're sick on both ends. Get pretty close. Anyways, he enjoys telling people how when he was sick afterwards, I moved in to take care of him, and then he couldn't get rid of me. He doesn't know I've heard these rumors. Well, let me tell you the real story. This is an opportunity for me. Now, ladies, what would you do if he kept saying to you, I really like you here. I like having you here. And he'd bring these little toys home, not toys, but it really was a slip. He'd bring, these little flowers from a novelty store in the area. He'd bring them home.
Toys from the novelty store.
For our home in Fulton. And he kept saying, you're paying for the storage area, just bring your stuff here and put them in the basement. Hello, in Fulton. Our basement's now full, by the way. And the first time he showed me the house, long before the accident happened, he actually said to me, why don't you put your stuff from your storage area in the basement? So what is this saying? All right? Okay. Need I go on? Because I can. So, Travis asked me to get some pictures for tonight, and I started going through my phone. And I quickly realized, I understand now. Jeff thinks he's a professional shopper. I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures on my phone of for sale signs, of things. We'd be driving along and he'd say, stop, take that picture, I want that. Now these are pictures of houses, apartments, vacant buildings, boats, cars, trucks. Again, need I go on? All of them have for sale signs. I actually wonder if a for sale sign would catch his attention before some of these women. You know how he is. Now I question, do you think he has an addiction to change or just love shopping? For example, he is so hooked on Craigslist. Unbelievable. So his favorite things on Craigslist. Let's list them. Trucks, women. Back to the list. Some of his favorite things on Craigslist that I've phrased and I haven't shared with him. The Jeff Bliss bees. Blondes, boobs, and butts. And old cars, old trucks, jobs. He's always looking at jobs. Truck parts, anything Mac. I can't tell you some of the Mac stuff we have. Plates even. Motorcycles, etc. So I just recently realized when he's not shopping for himself, guess who he's shopping for? Me. He sends me jobs, cars, old cars, toys, toy cars, and a motorcycle. I don't have a motorcycle accident or license. Excuse me, no Freudian slip there. On and on. Yet when I opened my email recently, I must have had 20 Craigslist ads that he has forwarded to me. All kinds of things. And if it's not me, it's his kids. Travis, how many pictures have I sent you within just the last year of rat rods? We'll be going around, he'll say, take a picture of that, send it to Travis. Which all brings us down to Corey's favorite line. When Dad has money, poof, it's gone. So I'm still trying to figure out a few things. It's only been 3 years. I question his obsession with waitresses. And why does he overtip them? Let me tell you a story. And it is a roast.
You'll get to speak at the end.
So, there's this waitress bartender, blonde. Did I mention that? And I know there's tons of them. And we ran into her at another restaurant, and he casually says to her, not working today? And she says, oh, I'm working Wednesday. We're having trivia night. Well, you know what that means. Get out the calendar, and every Wednesday's booked for trivia night. Does he play trivia or even like trivia? No. I did check.
It was just a week ago she did it.
He says, let's go see the blonde bartender. He didn't really say those words. I didn't. That's what I heard. Who, by the way, does not give him the attention I think he wants, in my opinion. Well, the first Wednesday night, there was something else going on. His truck was in a place where it really shouldn't be, and I was eager to get it home safe. But the world could have come to an end. He had to go to the restaurant for trivia night. I suggested going to get the truck and then go see the blonde. Trivia night. Really? And he does.
You're giving them the wrong idea.
This is shortened. I'll skip the next part then. So, you all know Jeff pretty well, and he's very, very, very proud of his farts. I think it runs in the family.
Show us, Jeff. Come on, hold on. Reel it up, baby.
I have heard of, again, we have completely different backgrounds. I have heard of men who think it's funny to fart in bed and pull the sheets over somebody's head. Oh my God, thank God, he never did that. He does know better, let's give him credit. But he is very smooth. What he does is he'll casually fluff the sheets. I was like, oh my God. So I have learned, another lesson learned, when he lifts a cheek or assumes the fart position, I quickly hold down the sheets. And it works, and he giggles, and we giggle, and that's all it is. So on that topic, he once says to me, "Have you ever farted in the shower?" I said, "No, I don't fart." He continues trying to educate me with all these things that he thinks are need-to-know lessons of life. So, the other day, I'm in the shower washing my face, eyes are closed, and I feel his presence. I quickly rinsed my eyes so I could see what the hell is he up to now. I see this white ass sticking in the curtain. Quite the visual. And it suddenly stinks. I thought I was going to die. Again, he's sharing his knowledge. And Travis keeps asking me over and over again, why are you still there? Good question. Besides loving his kids, I mean, we all have to agree, great kids, really great kids. But the real reasons are, he makes me laugh. And we laugh at each other a lot. Probably because our perspectives are so different. And there is no boring world in the Jeff Bliss world. And we do have a ton of fun and both like to keep busy and do similar things. For example, you wonder how he stole my heart? You'll never guess. He took me skiing. It was the way to my heart. We don't have time for the rest of those stories. And he makes it quite obvious that he needs me. And he wants me. Love you, hon.
Really?
Very nice. Lots of good information. Is it just, never mind. Mike Rapke, if you could join us. We would love to have you talk about another side of Mr. Bliss.
Really, Jeff?
Come here, Dad. Just get Way to blind
That's true. Yeah, my boss is here tonight, so I'll keep it clean. Honored to be here, to be honest with you. He took me under his wing, like one of his sons. You know, could be one of them. Yeah, I mean, I really can't come back from that, but no, he's seriously, he's been like a father, to be honest with you. Been great, taking me to Q schemes, stuff like that. So, nothing but the best. Yeah. So, we'll wait on that DNA test. How's that sound?
Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you earlier with the family. I didn't know. All right, I have another letter from someone who loves you dearly, Mr. Bliss, but couldn't join us. Would you like to read it for us? Or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You just look good again.
You know, there's a guy in town, goes by the name Bullwinkle.
Every week, page 2.
I didn't read this, so I'm not sure where to put the emphasis.
Some of the people here might not know who Bullwinkle is.
Jim Van Winkle, the editor of the newspaper, and owner, and that's it. Is that good? Okay. What does Jeff Bliss and the 2016 presidential race have in common? Like Donald Trump, Jeff has certainly been attracted to pretty women, some quite younger than their counterparts. And as for Hillary, if be jailed for wrongdoing, carried long-time jail sentences that they'd both be locked up. Sorry if I didn't read that very well. Today I can honestly say that Jeff would not here if I had, I'm sorry, maybe would not be here if I had my say, my way 50 years ago. While I was working for the Advanced Journal, Jeff began showing up with his dad, Al, to pick up the weekly trash, which often included a couple hundred pounds of newsprint. My job, to bring it to the top of the stairs. Jeff's, take it to his dad's truck. But for Jeff, it was more fun to kick the same back down the stairs, despite the threats from Al. And if I caught him, I could do what I had to do. Luckily for you, Jeff, that you won every chase. You used to get me so mad that strangling you often crossed my mind. How would I describe Jeff today? In one word. Promiscuous, to say the least. He loves pretty women. And that's a story which could take several days to recount. Not sure if tonight's event is a roast or a true birthday event. I'll stop right there with the lady talk. But why? That's what Jeff's been known for in several circles. Okay, at last count, my recollection, Mr. Bliss, has had over 30 lady friends that I've known of. But my friend Andy says I missed a lot of them.
You talking about Andy Walder?
Good question. Throughout life, Jeff and I admired your style and accomplishments. even through some of the later failed to take off. Sorry, I'm reading it bad. Jim knows how to write.
Everything is coming.
So it is authentic? Okay. Why I even tried on occasion to follow in your footsteps. That's when being 19 years your senior sent a signal to my brain. Take it easy, old man. His youth will do you in. Then came his current lady friend, Jackie. I don't know how you did it, but he now appears, for the moment, to be under control. I truly hope it's something you've done to bring him under control and not some personal injuries to his manly parts in those bike crashes. This conversation could go on and on, so closing, Jeff, happy birthday. You've been a true friend throughout our adult years, and neither of us owes the other any money. Now, if you believe in reincarnation, please, when that day comes, look me up so I can learn your women secrets for my second time around. Sincerely, Jim Van Winkle. Understand there's a gentleman named Ron King that would like to say a few words.
Shall the ladies leave the room?
Bliss, happy birthday. Why I like get talking into the microphone after here, I didn't have to adjust it. Well, I've only known Jeff for about 7 years or so since I come down here to Camden to cut wood years ago. And I've learned a lot from him. And tell a few stories about him. I have noticed that he likes jokes. And I know he can really dish it out, and sometimes he don't like to take it, which reminds me of a story of a minister at the church and he's getting ready to let church out on a Sunday morning, and he looks out in the front lawn and here's 2 beagles locked right up. And the preacher says, I can't let these beagles, or let the people out of church with these beagles in the front yard, so he goes out with a broom and he's trying to beat them apart and whatever. Jeff's in the next house next door and he's seeing out the window what the priest is trying to do. So Jeff says, I know what to do. Jackie says, where are you going? I'll be right back. So Jeff goes out there and he lifts up the beagle's tail and he slides his finger right up his butt. Them 2 beagles slipped right apart. The preacher goes out and goes, how'd you know how to do that, Mr. Bliss? Well, he goes, he's a little bit like me. He can really give it, but he can't take it. And then, when his sister was going to college and he was working his way through high school or trying to get money enough to buy a bike, he went to Mr. Mason's farm. And he says, Mr. Mason, he says, I'm selling some mosquito repellent. He says, Mr. Mason says, Mr. Bliss, you can't sell that mosquito repellent around here. It won't work. The mosquitoes are terrible. Well, he says, take me out and tie me up to that tree and come back and get me in a couple hours. And Mr. Mason says, if you don't got a mosquito bite on you, I'll buy all you got. Well, he did. Jeff got naked, went out. Mr. Mason tied him to the tree. Mr. Mason went in, did his farm chores, and went in and had supper. Holy Christ, he says, I forgot all about that kid out in the field. Well, he goes back out in the field, and he's tied up to the tree, and Jeff's there kind of half unconscious. Mr. Mason grabs him, he goes, I told you those mosquitoes are bad. Those mosquitoes are bad. Jeff says, mosquitoes, hell, don't that calf got a mother? Mr. Mason bought every bit of mosquito repellent he had. And that's how you got your new bike. And then when he got out of high school, he got another job.
Now this one's kind of bad, so maybe you ladies ought to plug your ears. He got a job working at the sperm bank, but it didn't last too long. He got fired. He got caught drinking on the job. I had one more and I forgot what I forgot what it was. Oh, I know what it was now. Now, is your mom here tonight? Hi, Mom. Glad to meet you. I met you at the lobster roast here a few weeks ago. And let me get this straight. I don't want to screw it up. I'm not the stand-up comedy guy here. He goes, I heard an awful noise upstairs. So Jeff was a young kid and he went running upstairs. And here's Mom and Dad going right at it. Well, Jeff got a little upset. He goes, Dad, doing some bad things to my mom. Well, Jeff went running right downstairs, and Mom and Dad are hearing an awful commotion downstairs. He goes downstairs, Dad does, opens up the door and says, what the hell are you doing, Jeff? Jeff turned around and says, it ain't so damn funny when it's your mother, is it? I can go on for another hour with these jokes, but I will just tell you that I met Jeff Bliss and he helped me out a lot down here and he still helps me out. And he's a good guy and I like Jackie and he's got a good bunch of kids. And we ought to be very proud to have a friend like him.
Okay, we're just getting warmed up now. Another gentleman I met for the first time tonight, Steve Cole, is going to say a few words.
Well, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jeff's biological brother. Jeff was actually adopted, and so because of that, I don't really have a lot of stories about Jeff. But I do have one. I do have one that I want to share. And unfortunately, I need to put the apron on for that story. Because it could get spotted. It's a prop, yeah. It's a prop. A long time ago, Jeff told me that he had a deficiency. He told me that he wasn't really happy with the. You might want to plug the little girl's ears. He really wasn't happy with the size of his Johnson. I'll try to keep it.
Gary?
So I know, I've heard all about his sexual prowess, so I'm sure there's a lot of women in this room that can attest to the size of his Johnson. I've never seen it personally, so I don't know how big it is. But when I think I was living in Ithaca at the time, he was telling me that there was a clinic down in Ithaca that he was thinking about coming down to visit because he was not real happy, right? So at any rate, I don't know, I don't know whether there's any women that want to come to his defense on this. But what I have done is I've done a little research for you. And I have found a clinic close by. It's in Syracuse. And from what I understand, they do something or other. No, it's not scopically. Anyway, they make it bigger. And so what I've done is I've made you a reservation, or an appointment, I should say. And the information is contained in here. So feel free to give them a call, let them know. But I just want you to know that
That's a real nice birthday present. You're going to have to get that black eye fixed. for some reason, this next speaker, John Sidora, we call him Sudsy. I don't understand how he got that nickname. Maybe you could tell us. But Sudsy, would you care to come up here and say a few words?
Family Sudsy.
Hey, Jeffrey!
Number 5.
Show him your t-shirt.
I probably don't need it, but whatever. Back a few years ago, Jeffrey had a little trucking business. And it ended up that he thought I needed a little more experience in driving. So I thought, well, all right, we'll give it a shot. So I get on one night to pick up the tractor. He had, at that time, 2 Blue Max. Looked the same. I knew the one I had because it was the only one left in the yard. Take the load down to Pennsylvania, drop it off the next morning, go over to pick my load up on the way back. One of the other drivers says, God, you lost your front plate off your tractor. Oh, one of Jeffrey's favorite sayings back in those days was, I just forgot it, but not to worry. Okay, so it doesn't have a front plate on, not to worry, yank the load home. Well, it wasn't until the next day I found out the other tractor had the set of plates delivering in New England, and I was left with one without.
That was a whole different time, Sudsy.
Not to worry. Marcus Bajer?
Keep it going, Chief!
I got nothing.
On 2.
I'm just gonna touch with what Jackie said. I hope his farts don't smell nearly as bad as Travis.
Well, thank you for that. Jeff, we'd like to give you an opportunity to maybe come back at a few folks, besides me.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And most of the material used had some truth to it. And I want to thank Darlene for marrying me and having 3 super kids. I got the little guy from North Carolina over here, Jonathan. But, a big event was when my biological brother and sister found me when I was 19. And I didn't really realize how well I had it until I met them. And my mother, Barb, my biological mother, Barb, you did me a favor. And it worked out well for everybody. And Dave Massey always gives me shit about knowing me, but his father is the one that handled the adoption process for Marge and Al to adopt me. And
Only time I ever yelled at Dad.
so it's been quite a journey. I'm on the downhill side of my life.
Yeah.
And my kids are doing well, and most everybody in this room I think has done pretty well for themselves, and I hope for more. I work for a super boss, Todd Butler. And then the antique sitting over at the table there, Quinny Haig. I've known you for what, 55 years or something? Gee. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This was quite a surprise. I couldn't figure out why Barkley decided that one last weekend. He says, I want to take you out to dinner next week, he says. Well, Barkley never buys. And then they open up the door and it's all dark, and I'm thinking some people are having a little seance or something. So it really worked out pretty well. I've had Jim and Doreen put up with me for years and years living across the street.
You've been a good neighbor.
Yep, it's been a lot of fun. I know Doreen always got mad when I had my transfer station. You bring over a bag of garbage and then have to borrow my pickup to take a load back to the house. Well, we've had a lot of good times. I think everybody in here, there's good memories with most all of you, and I think it's been pretty good. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our regular broadcast of this. Dessert will be served. Do we also get called at the table or just go up as we please?
Yes.
Yeah, any more speakers while we're, Travis, you want to take a shot at it?
That's all right. I'll get them. Yeah. Boomer, you got anything? Oh, boy. No, I think we'll pass.
The only thing I'd like to say is I think the last thing you ever saved for was that bicycle.
Yeah. That's a good one, Harley.
I gotta tell you, back then when I was a little kid, small bottles were 2 cents and quart bottles were 5 cents. And there was a lady that was head cashier at PNC that just took my word how many bottles I brought in each week. And I saved up enough, I think it was like $70 or something, to go to Western Auto and buy 2 bicycles.
Wow. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it took a long time at a nickel a piece.
Well, that's why you never done it since.
saved that money. Yeah, it was a lot of fun though.
Jackie, I just want to say one thing to you. 3 years ago when Jeff first met you, you know, he was singing all the time. He
I
had a
know.
little poem. Birds do it and fly, bees do it and tie. Dogs do it and hang to it, so why can't Jackie and I?
Wow.
I'll think about that one.
I can see this is going downhill from here.